Being a numbers guy, I think it's important that we focus on money, finance, budgets, and depending on the type of property deals you're doing, most people, okay, out there, generally speaking, the most expensive thing that they'll ever buy and the one that requires the most investment is their home or a property. That's the single biggest spend that they'll do in one go. As property investors, we become accustomed to that, attuned to that, and we obviously end up doing that regularly. But you got to make sure, especially if you're doing commercial conversions, new builds, or big refurbs, that you get the numbers right. Now, it's not an exact science. You're never ever going to be able to get to a place where every single number adds up. By add up, I mean it'll be exactly that. A budget is a budget because it's a best guess scenario of how much things are going to cost you based on estimates and quotes from your contractors and your subcontractors. But the thing that you want to do is be within budget or beat the budget, and that's a great thing to do. But if you don't have a budget, or if you don't have a realistic budget, or you over budget, or you under budget, it's going to be painful for you. So make sure you have a sensible budget, and if you're not familiar with these things, speak to a quantity surveyor, speak to an accountant who specializes in property, understands budgets and finance and numbers and costings, but make sure and try and do the best you can to have a realistic and a sensible budget, and then stick to it, and of course try and beat that budget, because that's important. Now, I know you might be a superhero and you can do anything you want, and that's no problem at all. But one thing you can't do and I can't do is doing everything by ourselves on our own. So don't try and do everything, and as tempting as it is, sometimes you think, I'll go in there and I'll change a light bulb. I'll go in there and I'll replace the door. Those things are not the best use of your time. And when you're starting off and you've got a shoestring budget, you might try and do everything yourself because you're trying to save costs and cut corners to some extent. And that's understandable. By cut corners, I mean you're trying to do the work yourself as opposed to getting a professional. And the difference really is, if you do it yourself, you'll probably do it wrong, and then it'll cost you more to get it done properly. But at the start, I fully appreciate, because I've been through that journey myself, you might try and do certain things to save costs, and that's understandable. That's the real world, by the way. But as soon as you can afford to pay people to do the job, let them do the job. The quicker you can hire a PA or a VA, that's going to assist you. The quicker you can hire people to assist you and work in your business and do certain things that you're not good at, by the way, then obviously the art of delegating is important there. Give those things away and focus on the 1, 2, 3 things that you're really good at. Now, you might love building work, that's fine, or you might love spreadsheets, or you might like negotiating deals, or you might like funding deals. So whatever you like, do those things. All the other things that you don't like or you're not really good at, get a team around you who are good at it, be it outsourcers, contractors, subcontractors, employees, freelancers, but delegate, and for God's sake, don't try and do everything yourself, because you're going to add too much of a burden on yourself. You're not going to have the clarity of thought, you're not going to have the time, and it's going to be really difficult for you. And I'm sharing this all with you from tough experience, by the way, where I've taken too much on, and I do still sometimes take too much on, and then later on think, what seemed like a really good idea 2, 4, 6 months ago wasn't such a great idea. But then it's having the ability and the persistence and the temperament to see that through, and then learn from that, and then obviously have people around you who can assist and support you. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Linked with that is taking too much on or biting more than you can chew. And you might be really enthusiastic and you want to change the world and you want to take over the world, and that's fantastic, because aspiration and ambition are two of my most favorite words, and I think they take you a long way on your journey to be a business owner, being an entrepreneur, or being a property investor and developer. But you've got to take baby steps first, get the foundations in place, and make sure that the structure of your business, the way it's set up, both legally and professionally, but also the way it's run with systems and processes, and the team around you and the personnel have to be right before you can scale up. So take those baby steps. Don't take too much on initially. Learn the ropes, pay your entry fee, and then look at size and scale, and of course you'll get there. It's very tempting, by the way, to try and time the market, because for 5 years I've been hearing crash next year, crash 6 months. Now people are saying, oh, in the next year, 18 months, we're going to see a crash. Okay, all the signs are there. Inflation is going up. Okay, interest rates are due to go up now to try and bring inflation down. Costs are spiraling out of hand. Fuel prices are through the roof. Cost of living crisis. All of these are a recipe for disaster, and we know that from previous experience. We've looked at recessions over the last 50 to 75 years and longer. But don't try and time the market. Stick to your criteria, stick to your non-negotiables, stick to what you know best, stick to what you do best, and don't worry about the market. If the market works well for you, whether it's a bull market, a bear market, don't worry too much about that. Obviously, when the time is right, you can afford to be bullish. When the time isn't right, then you can just step back and just look at things, ponder, be more discerning, and choose the right deals. There's good deals in good times, and there's bad deals in good times, and the same applies to bad times. There's good deals and there's bad deals. Your job is to find the sweet spot for deals that work for you. If it ends up being a really good deal at the start because you buy well, fantastic. But remember, it's not all about buying cheap. I can tell you over the last 20 years, the property investors and developers who've done the best or have done really well, they'll tell you, or they tell me at least, the deals that they overpaid for are the ones where they made the most money. Where everyone around them said, oh, you overpaid for this isn't going to work. And generally speaking, unless you're going to be somewhat naive or you're at auction and you get excited and you keep putting your hand up and overpay for something, if you're usually overpaying for something without it being heat of the moment decision, it's because there was huge demand for it, or there's more demand for it, therefore you've paid more for it, and what that means is in the future there should be more demand for it as well, so you will sell it for more. So don't be afraid of paying more than what anybody else is paying, as long as you can see the added value and you can see how you're going to connect the dots and make the deal work. With that, you don't obviously want to go around overpaying for stuff, but at the same time you don't want to put offers which are very low and you end up losing the deal. Some people I know don't do deals for 3, 5, 7 years because they always try and skimp, and they always try and find a deal that they can negotiate hard on, and lo and behold, after 3, 5, 7 years they still haven't done a deal because they can't find one which meets their needs, because they're looking for a bargain. And bargains do exist, but sometimes they are few and far between. Right now in the economic climate, there aren't that many bargains available, by the way, just because the numbers don't add up for development purposes. You might buy something cheaper, but once you look at the cost to refurb, redevelop, most deals, not all, most deals that I'm seeing, and I have done for the last 2 odd years, most of them don't add up. Now maybe I'm just looking at bad deals, by the way, I don't know. But I'm talking to the people, they are sharing similar insights. So you just got to be discerning and choose the right type of deal. And the most important, by the way, thing that I can share with you, which I think you ought to do, or ought not to do. The not to do is to not educate yourself. The to do is spend money, invest money on personal development and educating yourself. See, we're busy investing money in property deals, we're busy investing money in crypto, the stock exchange, watches, antiques, okay, classic cars, paintings, Bitcoin, all sorts. And for us, obviously, property. But if you're an investor, then what you realize is the most important thing you can invest in is yourself. And I'm sure you've heard it before that the best return you get is on the investment that you invest on yourself, on your personal development. So go out there, learn this. Don't think you know it all, because no one person knows it all, and the people who think they know best are the ones who end up usually failing best too, and in a big way. So always stay humble, stay grounded. Every day's a school day. I still learn stuff. I've written books, I speak on stage, speak to audiences. I've done over 3,000 business growth consultations. I've had 4 or 5 businesses at any one time, still do. But still, I learn at least one thing every single day by observation, talking to people, networking, communicating, reading things, watching YouTube videos and the like. And through all of that, I'm learning and developing, and different things will have a different impact on me depending on what I'm doing. So for example, a book that I read 10 years ago, if I pick up now, I'll read it in a different way, or I'll not read it in a different way, but I'll pick up different points in that book, which I didn't pick up 10 years ago, because my learning and my development is at a different stage now. So I'm seeing things from a different perspective. Therefore, I'm picking up things that I wasn't picking up 10 years ago. And I'm sure the same applies to you. So you've always got to have an open mind. You've always got to think there's something to learn. And remember, you can learn something from anybody and everybody. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, by the way, make sure you click like, subscribe and post a comment, because that tells me that you're engaging and you're finding the content useful. And if you like this video, make sure you check out this video here, because it's the next stage in terms of your learning and development.